is a game that holds a very special place in my heart. It gave me a second chance to come back to YouTube. It allowed me to meet so many people that I am so glad that I met. But unfortunately, the game has been declining for a while. In this video, I'll be discussing Funky Friday's history, the mistakes they've been making nowadays, and some other stuff as well. Buckle up, because this will be one hell of a ride. Funky Friday was created in February of 2021 by two developers known as Java and Lego. The game was fairly clunky and somewhat unfinished at first, but in a good kind of nostalgic way. Over the next few months, Funky Friday would see massive updates, almost all of which were of good quality standards for the time. Arguably one of the best Funky Friday updates to this day was the new map update, which released back in July of 2021. This update included a new map, mods such as Bob and Boship and Mommy, new emotes, new animations, and more. After this, Funky Friday's updates would only increase in quality even more. October 2021 was, in my opinion, the best time to be playing Funky Friday, as we got 6 new updates with mods like Dusttail, Cyber Sensation, Flippy, Suicide Mouse, Trolls, Nonsense, the list goes on. In November, we got the Dave and Bambi update with 6 new animations and tons of new mods. In December, we got the EXE Christmas and New Year's updates, and it just keeps going and going and going. Unfortunately, after the anniversary update in March, what seemed like a dream come true for many would slowly transform into a downward spiral. Overall, Funky Friday updates these past few months have been pretty lacking, especially when 1, you consider the fact that this is a game with over 1 billion visits, and that 2, the updates from nearly a year ago were 10 million times better than the updates we've been getting recently. And do not give me the stupid ass excuse that, quote unquote, they have lives. Well, no shit they have lives. That still doesn't mean that they can't hire people with flexible schedules though. There are hundreds of aspiring developers out there looking for games that they can create shit for, yet only now when Funky Friday's contributors are leaving do they start looking for new ones. And also, most of these updates we're going to be talking about next were released in the summer, where people have the most free time, yet the lovely people at Light Interactive can't make an at least decent update for once. And about those updates I was talking about not too long ago, let's go ahead and start discussing them right now. The first update we're going to be looking at was released in late May of 2022, known as the Void Update, which only included 4 to 5 new mods, 2 new animations which weren't even related to Void, which is what everyone was excited about the most this update, and no new maps. That was literally it. This update is what I consider to be the absolute worst Funky Friday update this year. The Mat Week 2 update is still the worst of all time, but at least it was somewhat akin to the quality standards we were used to back when it came out. While in the Void update, we had already seen updates that revolutionized the game time and time again. You might say this was a one-off instance, but no! Next, we have the Hazy River update, which was just mediocre. We got a few highly requested mods like Hazy River and Cartoon Network Takeover, but it was still a pretty lackluster update, all things considered. Next, while not the worst Funky Friday update in recent months, this update was probably the most disappointing out of all of them, and that update is, of course, the Week 7 update. This update only included 1 new mod, Sonic Dimensional Funkin', Week 7, and 2 updated mods, and a shit ton of animations to at least somewhat try to compensate for the rest of the update. But like, bruh, seriously? This seemed like even more of a last-minute resort when compared to the Void update. Now we have the EXE 2.5 update, which was once again mediocre. It was the same mass basic formula for an update that we've all seen before, but I will admit, it was nice to see some underrated stuff like Document being added influence. But without a doubt, the update that almost made me physically rage was the Door Stuck update. At first glance, looking at this one image on screen, this update doesn't seem that bad at all. We got a decent amount of mods, a few new animations, and lots of other stuff too. But the thing that most people don't realize is at the very fucking top of the update log, where it states, added hold node animations, new camera movement system, and added camera bumping. This part of the update is what almost caused me and many others to leave Funky Friday as a whole. Let me explain. You see, many editors, including myself, on both mobile and PC have suffered greatly from this update because there's no setting to toggle between the new and old camera angles. If Funky Friday seriously cares about the people putting the most effort into bringing traffic to their game, then they should definitely be less negligent. But perhaps I'm getting ahead of myself in that regard. Now, you'd think that after all of this, then maybe Funky Friday would start listening to the community after being so fucking incompetent when it comes to updating their game time and time again. But no! We want gameplay mechanics and mods that are popular when they are at their peak. What I mean by this is that Funky Friday has an extremely stupid habit of adding mods to the game 3 to 4 months after they were at their peak, which makes no sense because we want mods that are popular right now. And about gameplay mechanics, most FNF mods aren't just arrows on a screen anymore. We have mod charts and gimmicks which Funky Friday rarely adds to the game, which is just absolutely ludicrous. And to anyone saying that it's GameFam's fault that this is happening, shut up. GameFam may have played a part in the game becoming shit, but the game was already falling off and people were quitting before GameFam started collabing with Funky Friday. So don't start saying that it's their fault. You see the point that I'm trying to convey here? Funky Friday's constant bullshit updating system has caused a lot of the community, with myself included, to be angry and stop playing the game. But somehow, Funky Friday doesn't realize that they have fallen off greatly throughout this year. Hell, there was even a time where Funky Friday was next to games like Bloxburg on the front page. Unfortunately, as long as Funky Friday still gains an okay amount of concurrent players, they'll never change their ways. Gonna be extremely honest here, guys. Funky Friday does not give a single unapologetic fuck about its content creators, whether it be for better or for worse. Let's start off with the bad shit. Many of you probably know about 2 very controversial content creators that have quit YouTube since justice has been served after they were outed as terrible people. These 2 people are known as Redzy and Manglepole. If you are unaware as to who these people are, they used to be clickbaiters who posted videos with very misleading thumbnails and titles, like "It's out" or "It's finally here." The worst part about this is the fact that Funky Friday actively supports these guys and is still kissing their feet practically. If you look closely here, you can see that Java, one of the main developers of Funky Friday, is actually still following Manglepole on Twitter. The fact that one of the main developers of this game is actively supporting one of these scumbags is absolutely mind-boggling to me. Like, do you actively want people to paint your game in a negative light? And that ain't even the worst part. You can clearly see here that Manglepole is still in the Funky Friday Discord server with the content creator role, even after all this time. Not sure why this is the case, but it sure as hell makes no goddamn sense using common logic. And that still ain't even the worst part of all this, because these 2 scumbags have been involved in a few dramas that have permanently tainted their reputations, even more so than before, which was already a pretty low bar to set. The first drama we're going to be talking about is something that happened back in March. So basically what happened is that Robo, the creator of FNB, called out Redzy for using FNB assets in his thumbnails. Obviously Robo was in the right here because, well, it's his assets, and he's made it pretty damn obvious that he doesn't want Red using shit like that in his thumbnails, which is more than reasonable as to why. However, Red's dumbass kept making stupid-ass excuses such as, quote-unquote, "I didn't know the assets were from FNB," when the video he got them from clearly outlined the fact that the animations were indeed from FNB and the description of it. And he also started saying that he couldn't delete the video for whatever reason, and that all he could do is just blur out, the FNB assets in his thumbnails, which is horseshit. I still do not understand why he was so hesitant to delete a 40-second video, but I guess he's just that stupid. Mango also decided to barge into this to defend Red when he was clearly in the wrong, bringing up irrelevant shit, aka the drama surrounding FNB adding in mods without permission. I'm not going to go into detail about that as it warrants a whole ass discussion that's irrelevant to this video, but either way, it's also irrelevant as fuck to the situation. Even if what FNB did was kinda scummy, at least they learned from their mistakes and never did it again. unlike Mango and Red, who were forced to stop clickbaiting, but more on that later. Now, despite all of this, Funky Friday still supported these scumbags and didn't do shit after this, even though many people had already called them out and were continuously making videos on them, which is ridiculous. I can't believe that after all this time, Mango and Red were still being supported by Java and Lego. Eventually, these two problematic assholes were wiped off of the face of the earth, but it wasn't because they realized that what they were doing was wrong, it's because they were forced to stop. In June of 2022, Red was called out by someone known as Tambrush, who is a modeler for Roblox FNF games like Funky Friday and FMB. Tam called out Red since he had noticed that Red had illegally gotten a hold of a model that Tam was still working on for Funky Friday in order to clickbait his audience even more. And even then, Funky Friday took no action against this guy. He managed to keep getting away with being a scumbag and clickbaiting his audience again. He had to be stopped like a wild animal by Robo, who we talked about earlier. Robo finally put an end to Red, and not Light, by copyright striking a shit ton of his videos. As seen above, this is just one example of how careless Funky Friday really is when it comes to this shit. They took zero, and I mean zero, action against these scumbags, and still have not taken action against Mango Pole. Like, do y'all want your game to be painted in a negative light? Because it sure as hell seems like you do, judging by this. Then there's Funky Friday not caring about content creators who could give them a helping hand. Like Chaotix, for example, who showcases animations that he makes on his channel. Funky Friday, as always, doesn't give a shit about their content creators. Light, if you're watching this, I want to let you know that we are one of the major reasons why your game is so popular. We make videos on the game, they get views, and more people play it. So stop taking us for granted and please pay more attention to us. All you're doing is hurting yourselves. Moving along, throughout Funky Friday's history, there have been several YouTubers that have quit the game, rightfully so. Since a lot of YouTubers have quit the game and I only want to focus on a few of them, let's get them out of the way. J-Words is a popular Funky Friday YouTuber who used to troll people in Funky Friday, as well as also making videos on tips and tricks on it as well. He disappeared a few months ago, came back, and ranted on how boring Funky Friday became. Fanaticalite used to make Funky Friday edits on popular mods that were added, but stopped posting content, probably because he once again got bored of the game. Those of you saying, yeah, but what about that one video about him getting his identity stolen? Well, I went and checked his Twitter, and he said that he was burnt out and tired of making Funky Friday content, although he is planning on returning to YouTube, not Funky Friday, real soon. Finally, we have Captain Jack Attack, who is one of the most important YouTubers in the Funky Friday community, and who quit making Funky Friday content after noticing that the game fell off hard. At this point, you should be seeing a pattern here. Funky Friday YouTubers find out about the game, make videos while enjoying themselves, and then all of them stop making content because the game has become dry ever since April of this year. But even then, this isn't even the worst part of Funky Friday's content creators, minus Mango and Red. We're not going to be going even more down the rabbit hole in that regard. No, we're not done yet. Because now we're going to be taking a look at the parasites of the Roblox Funky Friday content creating scene, mobile shorts YouTubers. You see, mobile shorts YouTubers are quite problematic in the Funky Friday community. Not just because they cause stupid ass drama sometimes, get me a young fruit snack, but also because of their content. These guys literally post 20 to 30 second videos of them FCing a song and get like 5k plus views on it. No effort, no editing, absolutely nothing. Unlike people like Silly Fangirl who stream a lot and put effort into their stream montages, as well as providing us with videos of him FCing songs in their entirety instead of a small snippet of them, these guys are not only quite literally robbing editors like Vita Sandbox, Confuzzled, and Issa FF of views, but they also just keep exponentially growing in size each day. I like to describe people who make these kinds of videos like how Cybugs are described in Wreck-It Ralph. They eat, kill, and multiply. They eat up all the views and revenue they earn from their videos, they kill off channels that put effort into their content like Generated Chunks and Fan, and they multiply both in size and in the amount of content that they produce. There's genuinely too many people who make this content to count. There's Incredible Bacon, G and Awesome, Bob YT, Young Fruit Snack, Catmania, Kfee, Bryceify Super, Rix Osu, Not Mercy, Upscroll Bacon, Moke Gaming 1, Bomba, Fox YT, JosueMania, the list goes on and on. Now, fortunately, people have managed to subvert the shorts genre, like my good pal Unknown, who made edited shorts up until a few months ago. But even then, editors do not stand a chance against these people, which is just infuriating. These guys literally put zero effort into their content, yet Funky Friday rewards them and praises them for doing so. And remember when I talked about the door stuck update in section 3? Well, that just makes this even more aggravating, because the only people who could make content were these dumbass shorts YouTubers. Us editors could not make content because of the directional movement, and the camera angle still hasn't been made toggleable even after all this time. It's actually infuriating how these people get more views than people who actually put effort into their videos. If y'all want more insight on this issue, go watch Logung 3D's video on it, as I think he gives some more elaboration on the topic since it's more focused on a singular issue, not the entirety of Funky Friday's problems, like this video. In the end, Funky Friday just doesn't realize how privileged they are to have content creators like these, and just simp for the ones that don't do any good for the community. I genuinely don't know why Light keeps praising these guys, because all they're doing is murdering their own game's YouTubing scene and causing other people that put effort into making videos to leave. So many people like IsaFF, Unknown, Vita Sandbox, and many more have stopped creating Funky Friday content because of how little traction they get, and because Funky Friday is extremely negligent when it comes to this. In the past, Funky Fridays had a lot of competitors trying to overthrow their status, so let's take a look at some of the most popular ones right here and right now. Basically, FNF was the Roblox FNF game that truly kicked off the Roblox FNF genre. It was a game that the developer, Maple Galaxy, made for a friend. However, since this was back when FNF was at its absolute peak, February to March of 2021, the game exploded in popularity, but was overthrown by Funky Fridays soon afterwards. The creator tried to bring it back with basically FNF Remix, but the game flopped due to its lack of updates and content, which is a huge shame because the game actually had some serious potential. Next we have Monday Morning Misery, a game which I'm not too fond of, but I'm not going to get into why because I don't want to stir the pot too much. The game is more like a direct port of OG FNF instead of a traditional Roblox FNF game where you ready up at a given stage in a 3D modeled map. Instead of using that method, the game uses a join match method in order to start rounds, which I'm not going to delve into because I despise it for multiple reasons. Surprisingly though, the game still manages to rack in a decent amount of players like basically FNF Remix, which is impressive for how shitty it is. After that we have yet another Funkin' Night, a game which unfortunately shut down due to the developer being somewhat of a scumbag back in January of 2022. The game was actually really well made, with awesome game mechanics, a shit ton of mods, and was overall a pretty fun experience. And last but certainly not least, we have Friday Night Block Zone, which is objectively the best Roblox FNF game ever made. The game is yet another Funkin' Night, but times 1,000. There's more mods, more mechanics, more animations, and overall, it's just a damn good time. The developer of this game, Robotic Developer, has also had to constantly deal with drama that shouldn't even relate to him, like the Mango and Red drama. Light, if you're watching this, if you're not gonna take action against these people for your sake, at the very least what you could do is give them a heads up that they shouldn't be associating with other games, as that could get y'all into massive trouble. But no, as always, Light decides to be negligent for the 1,000th time. Something that all of these games have in common is the fact that they actually listen to their communities, something that is a complete and utter alien concept of Funky Friday, which is why FNB and Yaffin are considered to be some of the best Roblox FNF games ever created, because they bring interesting and unique concepts to the table while also listening to their communities in order to improve their games. Generally speaking, I feel like if Funky Friday doesn't want to listen to us, they should at least look at their competitors and learn from them when it comes to this, because all they're doing is assassinating their own game and reputation with each event/update that comes out. All things considered, Funky Friday has fallen off greatly and is no longer the powerhouse of a game it once was. With drama happening left and right, quality updates becoming non-existent, YouTubers stealing the spotlight unrightfully, along with lots of other stuff, Funky Friday is an absolute shell of its former self and will probably never be restored to its former glory. Since I started playing it around April of 2021, it's especially saddening to see this game go from the best to possibly the most mediocre and bland Roblox FNF games out there. Light, if you're watching this, cancel the deal with GameFam, start caring about your content creators that put effort into their videos, listen to the community, and provide us with a decent update next time around instead of another extremely uninspired one. I'm probably not going to be quitting making content on this game anytime soon, but goddamn is it hard to keep up with this game's god-awful state as of right now. Links to everything used in this video, along with some other videos by a few people that are similar to this one, will be linked in the description below. Thanks for watching, and fix your fucking game, Java and Lego.